Yo, what's good people? Today we have a very special review. Today we have the ULSAN Black Fanta. Look at this. Look at this lever. Look at the carbon fiber. Like, what are we talking about? This lever is so sick. The carbon washer, the carbon strip. Like, yeah, this might be my most beautiful lever. Now, it's between the Core Jam V4, obviously, and this ULSAN lever. Like, look at this. Look at the machining. Look at the machining. Look at the carbon. Are we looking at the carbon? The carbon is so sick. When you get it in person, it really comes to life. The carbon really comes to life, and especially when you've got it kind of like shining in light, like if you're playing in natural sunlight, it's so sick. So yes, we'll be reviewing the Black Fanta ULSAN edition. We're going to follow my usual level review format, so we're going to look at the tech specs on the website, and then we're going to jump into game and try some, you know, execution stuff, movement, and we're going to just see how it performs and how it feels to play with. Now, it does differ from what I'm used to. So it does have a 10mm shaft. I don't usually use 10mm shafts. I use kind of 9 or 8.5mm. So this will be a change from what I'm used to. It does follow the same bearing, and the black body has a 16.5mm spacing. So it kind of follows the bearing to spacing ratio that I'm used to. 16mm bearing to 16.5mm spacing, right? So it does follow that, but I think the shaft size is going to be interesting because that is obviously going to affect the throw. And also with the collar inside, it's a low circle, and I usually prefer squircles. So we're going to see how that affects kind of inputs and generally how I feel about the lever. Okay, so we're here on ASI's website. Now, to get to the ULSAN lever, we have to go to shop and then golden lever and then scroll down to Black Fanta stick. Now, it is sold out and it was very hard to get for good reason. Like, look at this. Look at how sick this lever is. Look at how sick this lever is. So yes, it's sold out. I don't know when they're going to be restocking it. I think ASI are going to be selling some Black Fantas at Evo Japan, so definitely look out for that. But yeah, for all the people that aren't going to Evo Japan, unfortunately it is sold out. We're going to look at the Black Fanta manual, right? This is the Black Fanta manual. You also get a printout of this in the box. You are going to see some B-roll, so you probably would have seen it already, to be honest, but we're going to zoom in a little bit. Obviously, we've got the capsule carbon top. We've got a black 10mm shaft, and this is actually an E-clipless shaft, which is nice. And it also has an Allen key hole for easy tightening, so you don't need to go into the bottom of the arcade stick enclosure and use, you know, a flathead screwdriver to tighten. The collar is obviously a low black circular collar. We've also got a slightly oversized black 13.5mm golden lever core. So it's slightly oversized, so it's 0.5mm oversized. The regular white golden lever core that goes in the grommet is 13mm. So this is slightly more oversized, which gives a slight bit more tension and a bit more responsiveness and snappiness. For me, I actually use a 13.5mm core as well in my Black Fanta build. Then we've got the normal tension spring. We've got the orange Black Fanta tension, which is rated at 45A plus. So the plus has more tension on the cardinal directions, so it allows for easier diagonals. Now it kind of follows the same design philosophy as the yellow, but it just has a little bit more tension. The orange one is 45A plus and the yellow one is 40A plus, right? So a little bit more tension on the orange. The plus have more cardinal direction tension, so that means that diagonals are easier to access, and the yellow one has amazing diagonal performance, amazing. So my Just Frame Skyrockets were really consistent. My electrics were really consistent. You know, stuff that needs those clean diagonal inputs, I think the plus tensions are really good. I don't feel like they're FOMO tensions. Some people have been saying that they're like fear of missing out tensions. For me, they're not, because I actually do notice a difference. Whereas like some stuff like, I don't know, the Panasonic AM5 switches, I feel like they're fear of missing out because I personally don't think they're the best switch. I personally think that On-One A6s are better than AM5s, but it's just personal preference, I suppose, at the end of the day. Then we've got the Black Fanta base, which is a 16.5mm spacing, as you can see, fixed. And then we have 16mm black bearing with some On-One A6s. We've got a 15.5mm black bushing. Now, to be honest, I don't really feel a difference between, in performance anyway, in the bushing size. I think that's just feeling, because the bigger bushings can create like a knock feeling, and so I guess some players like that feeling. For me personally, I don't really feel a performance difference between like 13.5, 14.5 and 15.5 bushing. Now the bearing is obviously where you're going to feel the performance difference, because that's an actuator, right? So you are going to feel the performance difference between different size actuators. Now for me, on a 16.5mm spacing. I like 16mm bearings, so this is perfect for me. And now we're going to jump into game and test the performance, test, you know, execution, electrics, movement, so on and so forth, and different characters, because I usually do Mishimas, but I'm going to actually extend the testing to other characters to test a wide range of inputs. Okay, let's actually talk about the Black Fanta in game. So immediately what I noticed is that it does have a lot more tension than the white golden Fanta and also my personal black golden Fanta. I actually have the yellow 40A plus tension, the yellow one that comes in the white golden Fanta. And even for me, this tension feels a little bit stiff. Now, again, this is just personal preference because some people like stiffer tension, some people like softer tension. So it's really just personal preference. For me, once you get used to the tension, it does actually help with cleaning inputs up. I feel like it makes return to neutral more snappy. Now, one thing that people suffer with on some levers is opposite or reverse inputs. So for example, when they max out the throw and then they let go and it kind of snaps back to neutral, some people suffer with, you know, opposite inputs because the tension is pretty heavy and the capsule top itself and the shaft are light. You're not going to get unwanted opposite inputs, which is a good thing because it can be very annoying to deal with, you know, opposite inputs. So again, I think the inputs feel really responsive, and obviously now we're talking about kind of the tension. I think this does aid with return to neutral a lot more than other tensions that I've used in the past, especially with this orange one, because obviously the orange one does have more tension, right? So it is gonna have more return to neutral. The further away you push or the more throw you engage, the quicker it will return to neutral because there's more pressure on the tension, right? So like the wave dash is kind of insane. Now, again, another thing I will mention is that like I can control my wave views a lot more. And also I like kind of wave viewing into sidestep a lot. And I feel like this is it allows me to do that cleanly every time with no issues. Like the inputs are really sick. Most of ASI's products are sick with input and consistency and, you know, QCFs, KBD, electric, so on and so forth. But I really feel like the Black Fantas do it the best. Now we're using the ULSAN Black Fanta, which has a 10mm shaft. To be honest, the throw is a little bit shorter than I'm used to. I do not like big throws, by the way. So I don't like throws like the, you know, Fujin V3. I like kind of a medium throw. Now this has a shorter throw, but not super short. I believe the master lever as well does ship with a 10mm shaft stock. So it kind of feels similar to a master lever as well regarding throw. So talking about the bearing, now the bearing acts as an actuator. It is an actuator, right? It's just a different technology. The bearing kind of provides a little bit more fluidity, I think, with the inputs, and especially with movement. I feel like QCFs become a little bit more easy with the bearing as well, in my experience. Yeah, these inputs are insane. Inputs are absolutely insane. Now, to be honest, I do like the bearing technology that they have in the levers. And the purpose of the bearing really is just to reduce friction between the switch and the actuator, or the ball bearing in this case. I think the only thing that really comes close to these levers is the Core Jam V4. Yeah, the Core Jam V4 again is built like a tank. It has a lot of compression. It has that same kind of snap back to neutral, which I really like in the ULSAN Black Fanta. So before I get onto my final thoughts and feelings, we're going to do some execution stuff. So I'm going to obviously do some Mishima stuff, but then I'm going to pick different characters so you can kind of see what this lever performs like with a range of different characters. So that was the ULSAN edition Black Golden Fanta. Let me know if you have an ASI lever already. Personally, for me, I really do feel like the Black Fanta in particular is kind of just a blend of everything that I really like in levers. And of course, you can build levers to not perform well. The thing is, it's a double-edged sword regarding having so many options, having such a modular-esque lever, you know, where you can change every part, is that yeah, you can build a lever to be really sick, but then on the other hand, you can build a lever to perform poorly, right? So it's difficult to find those parts that really click for you. And I feel like this is a great starting point, to be honest. I feel like the White Golden Fanta is a pretty good starting point, but to me, it just lacks that kind of that extra snappiness in neutral. And I feel like this kind of brings that to the table. Before I forget, this lever doesn't have spin. It has a little bit, like you can spin it, but you actually have to force it to spin. It's not going to spin when you're playing with it, right? So it definitely does feel solid. So yeah, that's just something to keep in mind, is that it does have a little bit of spin. It's not like a knee lever Neo where it actually free spins, or, you know, an EV1. It does have spin, but not enough spin to where, you know, it's going to spin while playing. So it definitely does feel very solid. And yeah, I enjoy using it. It's just the tension is a little bit more than I like, or I'm used to. I actually do like it. And I said the same thing about the Super Hung Fanta, is that even though it's stiff, it brings snappiness, it brings extra snappiness, it brings extra snap back to neutral than I'm used to, which is great. I actually really did like it. So it's like, it's a weird one because I like softer tensions, but then I like the snapback and the return to neutral that kind of heavier tensions bring. So it's weird. You kind of have to find a sweet spot. And for me, the sweet spot is actually a 40A plus tension, right? But I still like using the 45A. Tension and stiffness in levers is really subjective and personal preference. So yeah, hope you enjoyed that ULSAN Black Fanta review. Take it easy. Peace.